Hello, Aku here again. Welcome back to my FTB Monster Beginner's Guide. I'm up in the Mage Tower, and I'm going to start by doing I'm going to cover a little bit up here, then we'll go down to the book and we'll get on with what we've got planned for this episode. So what I'm going to do in this episode is I'm going to be working towards making Redstone Arsenal tools and weapons. So we've got all our good Thalmud's Tinker's Construct ones, and because I read Thalmic there, and they're good, but there's Redstone Arsenal's about now, so we're going to start working on Thermal Expansion Redstone Arsenal. So just to prep for that, I'm starting to try to get some enchants of weapons and tools. So what I did, I made a gold sword, and I was very lucky with it. I actually got Sharpness 4, Looting 3, and Knockback 2. So I've already pulled the Knockback off, which is why it's got some damage. And now it's going through its cycle again. I've just knocked a hole in the roof there so that it's got a direct line to the sun for this solar panel, this photovoltaic cell. So I got some knockbacks. So I've got 3 knockbacks there because I pulled the knockback book off and I've copied it. So you can see in that there we've got 3 knockback tools, which is very good. So next I'm hoping to get either the looting or the sharpness off. You cannot pull these enchants off the Tinker's Construct tool because they're enchanted differently, of course. So you couldn't pull them off. You couldn't like put them in there, for example. I can't take that out because it'll lose all its progress. So there we go. This is working quite nice. I pulled all the liquid out of there, so it's only got 200 in lot to actually get to the 40 levels to sort the book out, because that knockback 2 needed 40 levels, and we'll get on with that in a bit. So let's go get on with the meat of this episode then. So first things first, this is episode 10, and what I do on my Let's Plays is every 10 episodes I make the world available for download. I upload it to Dropbox, and you can download it from Dropbox. So there will be a link, not in the video description, because what happens is I update my Dropbox is very small. It's a free one. I don't actually have the $100 to pay for a year's sub. Well, I possibly could, but I've got more important things to spend it on. So unfortunately my Dropbox is very limited. I do mean to upgrade it someday, but there we go. So download. What will be in my Feed the Beast forum thread, on the very first post, there will be the latest version of the download. So if you're watching this just after episode 10, it'll be this version. If you're watching this and say this series goes to episode 50, 60, whatever, if you're watching this and the series has run on, so if you're watching this episode 10 and the series up to episode 30 or 40, this version of the world won't be available, but the episode 30 or 40 version will. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. So yeah, if you go to my Feed the Beast forum thread, in the links there, on the section that's for the beginner's guide, there will be a Dropbox link. You can download the world. It'll also say there which optional mods I've got enabled, so you know which ones to load the world up with, and then you can add that. You can download that, and then you can use that save file as a save file for yours, so you can actually come and have a look around my world, or even just play it if you want, or just come in and smash things up, or look at our med things. So yeah, that's download. Right, so what we're going to get on with is Thermal Expansion Redstone Arsenal. These are kind of like staples of modded Minecraft these days. Thermal Expansion certainly is, since it came around in I think 1.25. It's possibly it's very good. It's recently brought in its own power type. It's called Redstone Flux, which is what we are running. Are we running Flux for all that? No, that's MJ's. So previously there was a thing called Buildcraft, and there still is a thing called Buildcraft that uses MJ's. What the COFH team, the people who make Thermal Expansion, have done, they've made a new type that's got a very simple API, I believe. So it's very good for other mods to use. It's a lot less work for other mods to use the same power. I think that's the basic premise behind the Redstone Flux, is to make it easier for other modders to tap into that power type. That makes sense. So we're going to make a full set of machines from this. Now there's quite a lot. Thermal. So the first thing we want to look at is, we have done a little bit last episode, of course. We made our magmatic dynamo that's in the nether there, and that's producing, if we look at that, you'll see it doesn't actually say what it produces, but that produces an 80 RF a tick, which is 8 MJ tick. You can convert it directly. So 80 RF a tick. If we look, there's 4 pages of stuff here. One of the first things we want to look at is this power lines. This Redstone energy conduit, which is what we've got running on the farm up there. is, if we look at it and press shift, you'll see that that's got a maximum rate of 80 RF a tick. So all we could put out using that leadstone power. Now I've added an elevator in here to make it a bit easier to get up and down to that farm. All we could transfer through this is 80 RF a tick. So if we had a dynamo on, if we had 2 dynamos on this, we'd only be getting the power out of one of them because of the way it limits it, yeah? So one of the first things we're going to do when we're expanding a thermal expansion system is look at the better types of power conduit. Now there's this hardened stuff, which uses a bit of invar redstone, and that uses 400. So that can take the power from 5 dynamos, which is better, but we still want more. So what we're going to do is we're going to work towards making this stuff, redstone energy conduits, and this stuff, ignore that, that's from an update. This stuff can, as you can see there, it can do 10,000 RF a tick. So this is what you want to build your system on if you can get to that point. So for this, we need quite a few machines. First of all, we need this thing, fluid transposer. That's going to put liquid redstone into that once we've made a frame. Now, liquid redstone itself comes from a thing called a magma crucible, so we need one of them. The frame here, it requires this stuff called hardened glass, and hardened glass needs pulverized obsidian in an induction smelter, so that's another machine. And then of course the pulverized obsidian comes from a pulverizer, which is another machine. So there's quite a few machines we need. If we look at the machines here, there's quite a few more than that as well though. There's a furnace, which we're going to make a furnace because that makes sense. There's the pulverizer we mentioned. There's a sawmill that can cut up wood, that's very good. The induction smelter is what we need to make the glass, so we'll be having one of them. There's the magma crucible that melts things into liquids. There's the fluid transposer that can move that liquid about that you've melted. This glacial precipitator is a bit specific, it can make ice and snow and that. We might use that later on for some stuff called gelid cryothium, but we don't need that just yet, so I won't be making that. Ignis extruder is what we're using to get our cobble and our smooth stone over there. And we'll be expanding that little system at some point as well, so it can make sand and glass as well. Aqueous accumulator is what we're getting our water with, or what we can use to get water with. I don't know if I've got any of them. Yeah, there's one underneath there, isn't there, for the smooth stone. So we've already got one of them. Cyclic assembler is an auto crafting machine. That's very good. We probably will be using them at some point as well. An energetic infuser is what we'll use to charge our new tools and weapons. So pretty much what I need is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these at the minute. 6 of these things. Now what these all have, they all have certain things in common. They all have a machine frame. Machine frame is iron, glass and a gold ingot. And all the machines have a thing called a reception coil. Now reception coil, there's 3 types of coils. There's reception. So anything that's receiving power is going to need a reception coil, so machines receive power, yeah? Anything that transmits power is going to need a transmission coil, so dynamos need them. And then anything that stores power, so the energy cell, is going to use a conductance coil because that's going to store it. So there's the 3 types of coils, so they're going to all the machines. So I'm going to start off then making 6 energy frames and 6 coils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there, and then 6 of these, 6 of these. That gets us our 6 reception coils. And now we need some iron, and some glass. We'll spread the glass out for now. 6 machine frames, 6. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use this lava here to turn this lava into RFs and put it into an energy cell. But we'll get the machines made first and then we'll work out the power after that. So there's M6. So the first thing we're going to want is a furnace. We don't actually need the furnace as much as other stuff, to be honest, but I want to make one just to make sure that we've got it covered. Now, can we make copper gears like this? We should be able to. Let's have a look. No, we can't. So 2 copper gears. We need some bricks, which we might not have. Let's go check. This might be the first cut if we haven't got any bricks made. We've got 1 brick. Is that it? Yep, okay, I need to go sort some clay out, turn some clay into, cook some clay up, make it into brick, and this should be pretty quick actually. We'll just do this while we're waiting for while we're sorting other stuff out. So I'm just going to put 4 of them in there. Now what I've done is I made a second lava crystal, so I've got one in the furnace over here still, and I've got one in there as well now. So we've got 2 lava crystals. So this is keeping this full, which is nice. There's one. This is a bit slow. I'm going to put on the list the upgrades for these to make them quicker. There we go. So there's the 2 bricks. So cell and a frame, as we said, everything needs them. We need a bit of redstone and copper gears. Wonderful. So there's our first thing, redstone furnace. Next up, we want a pulverizer, so that needs more copper gears, some flint and a piston. Right, tell you what, let me get all the little separate bits we need for this, like an axe. Well, I don't need an axe, but bucket and so on. I'll be back in a bit. Okay then, I think I've got all the bits. Let's see if I make a mess. So we've got a redstone furnace, that was our first thing yet. So next up, pulverizer. And for that we need flint and a piston. So piston, flint, as usual, our blitz there, and then looks like these gears are coming in quite a lot of these recipes. So there's a pulverizer, wonderful. And then next up, we want our induction smelter, which uses a couple of bits of invar and a bucket. I think I've left my invar over there. It's not too much of a big deal. So just to remind you, invar is used in quite a bit of these things. Invar is, of course, 1 iron, 2 iron and 1 nether, or sorry, nickel or ferrous. Nickel or ferrous and 2 iron gets you 3 invar. So you can do that either with, in an induction smelter you can use full ingots, or the alloy smelter there you can use full ingots, or you can use it using dusts. But there we go, we've got 28 of them. I'm going to use quite a bit of them. So there's the induction smelter, and then the next one is the magma crucible for getting our liquids. Now for this we need a leadstone energy cell, and we also need a leadstone energy cell for the energetic infuser. So these are the most basic power storage devices: lead, glass, and that's just a redstone block, but because we've got random things we've got all different colours of them. So let's get all this stuff out a second. So we're going to want 2 redstone blocks. Pressing the wrong button, what am I doing? 2 redstone blocks, and then we're going to surround them with lead and glass. So we could use these to store power. Now if you look at this when we mouse over it, or in fact when we make it, let's just place it down a second, and that's just a frame. What am I doing? What am I doing? Alright, yes, that is just a frame that I need, of course. Is that just a frame that I need? It is just a frame, right. So to actually make this into an energy cell, we'd have to do this to it. We'd actually have to put a conductor's coil and some copper around it. That'd make it an energy cell. And you see that the input output maximum is 80 hour for tick, so that's 1 dynamo's worth. So we could just send in and out power using one of these leadstone energy cells, but I want to go bigger than that. We could upgrade that into a hard energy cell by putting some things around it. There you see, look. So in fact you can upgrade straight from that just by putting some invar around. That'll make it to the hardened, which does a bit more. That does 400, so that does the 5 engines. But like I say, we are going to go for the bigger one. We're going to go straight for the redstone energy cell, which is the biggest, well, the big one. Then that can be upgraded later on by putting this stuff around. We'll get to that in another episode. But so I've got these 2 frames, so let's start putting our stuff back together then. So what was it? It was the magmatic crucible. That needed nether brick. So I've got a couple of them. I've got 1 extra for some reason. So there's our magma crucible. Then to go with that is the fluid transposer. So that's just glass in a bucket. Fluid transposer, cool. So we've got 1 thing left to make, and that is the not the cyclic assembler at all. The energetic infuser. Now that needs a couple of these things. Transmission coils. Like I said, reception coil receives power, transmission puts out power. Well, the infuser does both. It receives power from the network and it puts it into your tools and stuff. So we need a couple of these, which is just silver with redstone either side of it. So there's some silver, some redstone. Wonderful. 2 of them. and then we can put this together. So we've got a basic, not a full set, but we've got a basic good set of stuff here. Now, did I not make enough copper gears? I didn't make enough copper gears. I cannot add even off camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 iron. I'm sure I made enough. Clearly I didn't. Two more of them then. Put all this stuff back in. And there we go. We have got a suite of thermal expansion machines. Now I've moved this along a bit. I should really sleep because mobs can get in here. Tell you what, let's let me sleep. I'll be back in a sec. Here we are then, and I'm actually back in here just for a second. I just wanted to show you that I have pulled all 3 enchants off that sword. It's nearly dead, look. And I have got the... What's this? This is the... I've got the looting 3s done, so there's 3 looting 3s up in the shelf there. Wonderful. And next up will be the sharpness 4. I've not got my monocle on, so we can't actually see what's there. That's going to need 40 levels. We haven't got 40 levels worth of stuff in there yet, so I'm going to do that later, but I just wanted to show you that. Right, let's carry on. I'm going to jump out the window. Oop. I didn't get it on in time, but I've got my spring boots on, so it doesn't matter. Bit of a fail there. So, what I've done here, for now, I've just borrowed the leadstone conduit. See the leadstone conduit running under there? I borrowed it from the farm there, so look, the farm stopped. We're in no rush for that. I just wanted to start up with this until we get the actual energy cell made. So I've run that underneath. This is the kind of order I normally put these in. Magma crucible and fluid transport want to be touching each other. Now a little tip here is if you go into the configuration, if you shift right click the middle, it'll clear it all. So I always start by clearing them all, and then I actually put the configuration to how I want it. The redstone furnace is not exactly needed in this, but it is useful to have, because what we can do here is we've got the pulverizer and the induction smelter. Now some things need feeding in from a pulverizer straight to an induction smelter, so it's nice to have them next to each other. For example, I'm going to want some obsidian. Let me just grab a bit. I'm going to want at some point I'm going to want some obsidian, so let's grab let's have 16 enough? Let's have 8 for now. Let's start with 8 obsidian, chuck them in there, and once we've got power into this, that 8 obsidian we can feed to, oops, that one, feed out to the right, and then we want input on this. Now this, because it's got 2 inputs, you can have blue, which will bring them into both. You can have green, which will do just that one, or purple, which will do just that one. So we want to put obsidian, crushed obsidian, into there, and then we'll combine that with lead. And we'll use this lead up first. So our lead will be in that side, and that'll make us some of the hardened glass we're going to need. So we'll get that on, we'll get some power in. Of course we need the power, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same as what we've got in the nether. I'm going to use a magmatic dynamo, because we've got lava, so it makes sense here. So is it there and there? I think I've got them the wrong way around. I think it's there and there. Yeah, there we go. So what I'm going to do is, for now I'm going to put another leadstone conduit there, but I'm going to swap that out for our energy cell once we've made it. And I'm going to put my dynamo there, and if I switch this to output mode, it's going to start feeding in. This is going to start putting power in, and these are going to start filling up nice and slow, but it's all we need at the minute, because what we can do is, we're not using these all the time. So when we're around our base, and because we're chunk loaded, then just this one dynamo will fill up the energy cell. So we're going to be wanting to make an energy cell. What you should see is this is going to start working, and it is, look. So it's starting to crush that obsidian, pulverize that obsidian, and it's going to put it in there, and that's going to combine it with that lead, and we're going to get some other stuff. Now this takes a whole lot of power, so this is going to take a while for all this to fill up. Let's carry on blanking all these, and we'll blank that one as well. So we'll just blank the configs. So yeah, because I've got a pulverizer here, some things want to be pulverized and then furnaced. So I do like to have a furnace next to it. So I generally put a furnace there, even though it's not necessarily needed. So there we go. We've got power going into all these things, and that takes a whole lot of power as well. So the magmatic crucible and the energy confuser, as you can tell, because they have the leadstone energy thing in the recipes, they store a whole lot more energy. Right, so this is working, look, so this is, there we go, we've got 2 iron glass, we're going to need more of them, so that's good. So, what do we want to do next then? Well, the first thing we want to make is the actual redstone energy cell. So like I say, I like to go straight for this guy, and this guy can be upgraded to that guy. We'll worry about that later, but that holds an enormous amount of power. 50 million RF that holds. This one is still pretty good. It holds 10 million RF. This little one holds not much at all, just 400k look. So we're going for the 10 million one. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make a frame for this. Now the frame is some of this hardened glass that I'm making. Hey, looks like I planned it here. And some electrum. Now electrum we can make in a few places now. Electrum is gold. Let's have 16 of these. And silver combined. Got 2 types of silver as well here. So I could do that in the induction smelter here as well. Gold in one side, silver in the other. That'd work. That'd turn it into. Say it takes 8 pulverized obsidian to make this, by the way. That'd work, but since we're using that for now, we can also alloys only. Bang that in there, and that'll make us electrum in there as well. So we can use that to make us electrum. We're going to need 1 diamond. Oops. Which. Don't know why I placed the torch. I've got a diamond with me in there. Come back, you. So diamond goes in the middle. We need some of this hardened glass. We're going to need some more of that pretty soon as well. So that's all good that we're making a bit more of that. Is that done? Okay, so we used 4 lead and we used, was it 8 or 16 obsidian? I don't remember. I have to check back on the video. So now we're waiting for the electrum. So this electrum we're using here, of course we're using lava for the, sorry, we're using blood for this. Let's no, that's free. Let's use that now. Look, so that can go in there as well, and that actually runs a little bit quicker because these aren't got upgrades in. Oh, there we go. We'll use that for now. That's going to fill back up, lovely. And we have got enough electrum to be going on with. Probably going to want some more of this hardened glass, you know. But there we go, there's a redstone energy cell frame. Now what we need to do with that is that goes into our fluid transposer, and it needs redstone putting in it, and it actually needs 40 redstone putting in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to bang a full stack of 64 redstone in there, because we're going to use the rest as well. So this will start getting melted down into liquid redstone. You see each redstone dust gets you 100 millibuckets, so you need 10 dust for a bucket's worth. What we're going to want to do with this is we're going to output this to the right, and we're going to want to input this from the right. So now the redstone's going into there. Once we've got 40 buckets worth in, no, I mean 40 redstones worth in, that will turn that into a full cell. So if we look at this here, you'll see, there we go, that'll turn that into a full. So the one we've got in there is empty, and we need a few more bits to go around that. What do we need? We need a conductance coil, which is electrum and redstone, easy enough. And we need a couple of bits of lead and some more electrum. So I've got no more. It's night time again. I've got no more redstone on me. So let's just sleep while that's filling up with redstone. I say it's all a little bit slow because I haven't got a great deal of power in there at the minute. It's just taking power as it needs it, and it's filling up all the machines, which is probably isn't helping that much. There we go. So we need that. We need 3 of them. We need a couple of bits of lead. Now, while we're looking at that, let's talk about the other dynamos. So there's 4 dynamos types in total. I've got a bit of an itchy beard. Sorry about that. You're going to come and bother me. You're going to stay over there. We've got 4 dynamo types in total. Now, what we've got is steam is the most basic. What steam takes is it produces steam. It can also take steam in. So if you had something like a boiler that's producing steam, you could just feed steam straight into this. Or what you can do, you can feed it with water, and you can feed it with coal, or even our lava crystal, for example. Our lava crystal could go into a steam dynamo, and that would burn the coal or use the LP from the lava crystal and make the water into steam and provide power. These all put out the same amount of power, by the way. They all put out 80 RF a tick. All the dynamos do. So that's how the steam dynamo works. Then we've got a magmatic, which just uses lava. The next one is a compression dynamo. That uses liquid fuels like oil and fuel, like buildcraft fuel and stuff like that. And that also needs water as well. And then finally you've got the reactant. The reactant's a bit weird. What it does is that takes 2 types of fuel. It requires a fluid and a reactant. So for example, the most efficient fluid in there is liquid glowstone. Now you make liquid glowstone by putting glowstone dust into this, and then feeding it out of this into the engine via drums or pipes or whatever you want to do. So that's how you get liquid glowstone, and it needs, as it says there, it needs a reactant. So the reactant, I think the best reactant is a gas tier. No, the nether star would be the best reactant. Gas tier is a pretty good reactant. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, a glowstone with a gas tier, one gas tier's worth will produce something like 1.6 million RF. So it produces quite a lot of power, but you need to have a good source of glowstone and a good source of gas tiers, of course. Now, end game, you might have a massive amount of, like, from bees, for example, you can get glowstone. You can have loads of it from there. There's also, you can also use redstone, liquid ender, all kind of other stuff, but glowstone is one of the best ones for it, as far as I understand. Now, it's going pretty slow. That's only got 2,500 in there. We need 4,000 in there. So I'll tell you what. Right, I was going to cut, but what other thing I want to look at is another part of thermal expansion is storage. Now we've got portable tanks, very good. They store the base one at 16 buckets worth. Now the base one is very simple. It's just a copper with 4 glass around it, very cheap and nice. And these are upgradable. There's a creative one that we don't want to worry about. You can only spawn them in for test purposes. So our basic one there, we can upgrade that by putting Invar around it. Then again by putting some of this hardened glass that we've just made around it, and then finally again by putting Endarium around it. And there's also the storage, the strong boxes that we've been using, exactly the same, and the upgrade exactly the same as well. So your basic one is a chest with tin, and then the upgrades are exactly the same. So Invar, and then the hardened glass, and then finally Endarium. Endarium, just while we're on it, is made using all kind of stuff: platinum dusts, tin, resonant ender, so all kind of stuff that we will be getting into certainly in this series, but not quite yet. One thing I want to do then is my little storage thing here, strong box. It's very small, it's a basic one. What we can do now is, I wish I'd taken some Invar out of it first. Where's my Invar gone? There it is. 4 Invar. What we can do with this guy is you can pick him up using the crescent hammer, and let's just get rid of them out of the way. First of all, even though it's got stuff in it, it doesn't matter. What we can do is we can put 4 Invar on there, and now there's a hardened strong box. So if we're looking at it's twice the size, pick it up again, and use this hardened glass we've made. Now I certainly am going to need more hardened glass now because I've used that. Oops, just turn that machine round. I mean to do that, silly me. It's a reinforced strong box now, which is pretty cool because they're quite big. There we go, that's triple size, and then of course the last one would be another 2 rows again. So that's a nice size container now. We can pick it up and move it whenever we want. It's very safe. You can even set it to private if you're on a server. See there, it's public access. I could set this to me only, so then no one can pick that up or get in it apart from me. It's very nice. So very good for server play, especially if you don't particularly know everyone we play with on public servers and stuff. So yeah, very good. So I've upgraded that one. What I'm going to do is, while we're waiting for this then, yeah, we're about there I think. There we go. So we've just got to 4,000, and as you can see it's starting to make that into the full frame. I've got all the bits ready here. So as soon as that's made, that's going to drop into there. Lovely. And now what we can do is we can combine that with that other stuff. There we go, we've got a redstone energy cell that'll 10 million RF, and what I can now do is I can pick that off there, and I can drop that down there, and that is going to start filling up with a massive amount of RF. So like even though we've only got 1 dynamo, the amount of time we're going to be using these things, we are going to have a decent amount of stock, really. We have a decent amount of power stored up to use as we need. Now that's going to be the main one we'll be using. So one last thing to do with this, and let's just make some better cables. So we're going to need some more obsidian for that. Let's have another 8. And some more lead. So that again into the pulverizer. So you see, it's just nice having the pulverizer right next to the induction smelter. It makes things a little bit quicker. And what we're going to make here is that, yep, that's how much we need. We need 4 more glass. So we might have a bit extra glass here. There's 2. So what we're making now, when this works, come on, What I'm making now is the upgraded energy conduit. So also, actually, what we're doing is we're not actually putting any power out of this. This is storing power in, but these settings are exactly the same. Blue is always in, orange is always out. So what we actually want to do is to put power out. That's why nothing's happening here. We need to set that output to orange. But what I'm going to do first is really quickly just... Oh no, I can't do it first because I need power to make it. So I'll put that to orange. That's going to start filling this up again. And what we can do now is we can make some of these energy conduit empty. And I actually only want 12. Yes, I do only want 12. So what I'll do with that is I'll put 12 in there. Each one of these takes 200. So that other 24 that I had in there is going to be enough for the 12 that I had in. So I don't actually need that. So what we can do with the rest of that stuff. Cool. What we can do with the rest of that stuff for now is just store it in there and use it for whatever we need. So I could use that for upgrading another strong box. Could upgrade that one or whatever. There we go. So what we can start doing here is, as these upgrade, we can take these off and upgrade them with the good stuff, so that when this is full, when this has been running a while and it's full, it can send this power as it needs it really quick. It can put power in there as it needs it. We will be doing a lot more power later on, I think, on a big reactor, but for now this is going to be perfect just for what we need for this. Right then, so that's the first part of the episode done. That's your basic thermal expansion stuff. We've covered quite a lot of stuff, not all of it. There's a couple of other things in there that I should really touch on. One of them is flobs. I don't really use flobs much, but you can put liquid into stuff and throw it about. It seems to be mostly just for fun. And another thing that's important is this thing, a flux capacitor. This is like a portable storage thing. Now once we've got flux weapons, they're going to use their charge. What we could do is we could make a flux capacitor. Should we make one? Yeah, let's make one. Screw it. Have I got any sulfur? That'll decide whether we can make one or not. I have. Wonderful. Let's get some more redstone. So while we're doing thermal expansion then, let's quickly cover this, and then we'll move on to redstone arsenal. So what we can do with a flux capacitor is, so what was that first one there? It was lead and copper. Lead, I think it was 2 lead, 1 and 1 copper. Forgot already how my brain works. Ridiculous. And then, was it 3 of them? There we go, that gets us a leadstone flux capacitor. Now these upgrade in the same way as the other ones do. So now hardened, we need tin, 2 invert and some more redstone. 2 invert, a tin, upgrades that to a hardened one. And then our next level is the redstone one, which uses 2 electrum and a diamond. Okay, so there, and then 2 of these electrums. Let's go grab a diamond. There we go. And then finally, the final upgrade again uses this endarium stuff that we're not ready for yet. So what we can do with this is, if we had redstone flux tools on our bar, and this was on our bar, and this was full, as they use power, this would automatically refill them, which is very nice. So it's a real useful thing to have. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to throw that into there, and you'll see that's going to start charging up, and that'll what's that, 200,000, 2 million, 2 million, that, isn't it? Yeah. So that holds a lot of power. So you see that's drained our power down. So at the minute, all this power that's in here, it'll be going straight into that. Slowly filling all this stuff up. Right then, I'm going to finish putting them on there. I'll tidy the floor up, and then I'll get a few things ready to make the redstone arsenal stuff, which is an add-on for thermal expansion. It's actually made by the same people, so it's kind of like, it's an add-on, but it's by the same people, so it's not really an add-on. It's kind of part of the mod still. But there we go. There's not much to it, to be honest. All there is a set of weapons and tools. Well, a weapon. 2 weapons if you include the battle wrench. So I'll get some of the bits ready for this so we can make all these bits and charge them up, and we'll be ready to enchant them up as well, hopefully. So we'll be back in a bit. Right then, here we are. That guy's filled up, and that's filled up. So everything should be full here, and looking good. So now this is starting to fill up. As you see, there's not much in there yet, but it is on its way. So our redstone flux capacitor is very useful. We'll just put it to one side for now. So now actually to get on with making these things, now what I'm going to make is I'm going to make an omni wrench, a sword, a shovel, a pick, and a axe. So I'm not going to make a sickle, I'm not going to make a battle wrench. I'm going to make the rest. So I worked out what I need. So the first thing we need to do is we need to stick some diamonds in with destabilized redstone, so liquid redstone. So I've already got 8 of them, and I need 16 in total. So I'll throw some more redstone in there. Now I think all that wants to be in there. Does it? Can't quite remember. I'll have to see when we get to it. So that's your first bit. Your next bit, so that's to make these guys. Flux crystals. What they do, they go on the end of these obsidian rods. So to make the obsidian rods, we need crushed obsidian for pulverized obsidian and blaze powder. So we're going to want 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 16 of them. So that gets us them guys. So we can make our first 4 rods because I've got some of the flux crystals ready. So there's 4 of the flux obsidian rods. So that's how we'll make them. And then we also need the flux electrum ingots. Now the first thing we need to make them is this stuff. It uses coal, pulverized coal or ender eye or crushed coal, whatever, any kind of squashed up coal, and sulfur. I've got 2 different types of sulfur here, so it's a bit weird. Oh, didn't mean to do that. And I've also got an issue there. It seems that it doesn't take that sulfur. Oh, takes that sulfur though. 2, 4. So I'm going to have to make a dictionary converter at some point to change that sulfur into the right type. But for now, we'll sling that back in there, and we'll use, I think this other railcraft sulfur works. Let's check. Yeah, that works. So I've got 6 of these pyrotheum dusts. Now, that's the first thing we need. The other thing we need is some fluxed electrum blend. So as I mentioned earlier, electrum blend is pulverized gold and pulverized silver. Before we made it as ingots, but we don't want ingots this time, we actually want the blend. So there we go, we've got 12 electrum blend, and what we can do with that is, so I needed 24 of that for. So I need another 24 redstone in there. They're done, that's good. So the electrum blend goes in there, and that's going to combine. So 2 redstone for each of the blends, and that's going to get us this flux electrum blend. So that's on we're making that. So let's make the rest of our rods while we're waiting for that. There we go. So we've got 8 rods, which is exactly what we want. We've got 6 pyrotheum dust, which is exactly what we want. I seem to have miscalculated the redstone that I needed. Well, that's not a big surprise, is it? So these go in the induction smelter again, so it's another reason why we need this machine. So we want 6 of them in there, and we're going to end up with 12 of these. So we'll take 6 while we're waiting. And each one of these and 2 of these will create us 2 fluxed ingots. These guys, flux electrum ingots. That's what we're after. Like so, wonderful. So now we can start making our tools. So the first thing I'm going to make is my sword. So just normal sword pattern. Gets you a flux infused sword, wonderful. Now what that needs is power. So now, just to show you, if this was on my bar and that's on my bar, that's going to start charging. If it's in my hand, I believe. Come on, why are you no charge? Must remain a hotbar here. Use while sneaking to activate. There we go, I've activated it. So now, if I put that in my hand, there we go, now it's filling up. So that's filling up from the thing. No, we'll just fill that back up, so it's full. So okay, we can turn that on and off. That's good to know, I didn't know I could turn it back off again. So, turn it off again, wonderful. So I'll leave it turned on because it doesn't matter. And I'm going to put that out of the way just for now. So we're going to charge these up manually in here for now. I'm going to use the power that's in the energy cell. So you see that's going up still, wonderful. And then we'll grab the rest of these and we can make everything else now. So that's fully charged. Once it's fully charged, it goes into that slot. Now, what else do we want? We want to make that into them. Next up is our Omni Wrench. Omni Wrench is very cool. It used to be a little standalone mod. Now it's part of Redstone Arsenal. So again, we'll fill that up. And then once we've got these, what do we want? pickaxe, we can do that now. There's our pickaxe. And then we should have 2 more coming. No. Have I miscalculated? No, I've done it right. Cool. So 3 more gets us a flux infused axe, and 1 more and then gets us a shovel. So we've got a nice little set of tools there. Wonderful. We'll charge all these up, and now what we'll do is we'll enchant these. Now, up to now when I've enchanted these, I've always been very lucky and I've got exactly what I want on them, but I'm going to do it using the book way, so it's going to take a little bit of time, me waiting around for the essence berry to grow, stuff like that. What I'm going to do is, first of all, what you want on these is, if you look at any of them, you'll see when you shift over it, you'll see that it's got a power use. Now we can turn these on, so if that's something I press V, you'll see the edge will go red. So that's on now, so that's going to do more damage. Now this, as it is, it does 8 damage plus 4 flux. So when we get sharpness 5 on that, it's going to do 18, is it? 18 damage a hit, which is very nice. But when it's turned on, so for that 4 flux damage, it needs to be turned on, so it needs to have this red edge to it. And that's taking 200 redstone flux per use, 800 even. 800 redstone flux per use. If we put Unbreaking 3 on that, that'll bring that right down. So one of the things I want on all these is Unbreaking. Now, I say I could get lucky. I could stick this straight into here when I've got 30 levels. And you can see it's fully enchantable as normal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the books. So on this one, I'm going to want Looting, Unbreaking, Sharpness 5, which I'll get to in a minute. And I'll put knockback on it as well because it's quite useful. Keeps you alive sometimes, especially when you're doing that much damage. The shovel and the hatchet, I'm just going to want Unbreaking and Efficiency 5. Unbreaking 3, Efficiency 5. So I need to get Efficiency somewhere. I ain't got that yet. I've got an Unbreaking book I can copy, so that'll be getting copied when I get more levels. The pick, I'm going to go with Silk Touch, Efficiency 5 and Unbreaking. And then the Omni Wrench, you can just put Unbreaking on that, which means it doesn't use as much power. And as you can see there, you can also use that as shears, which is quite nice. So I'm going to work off camera after the episode, getting all these enchanted up. One more thing to mention is I've got my Sharpness 4 book done. Now, I'm not going to put Sharpness 4 on, so what we can do is wait for the second book here. I've got one of the Sharpness 4 books up there, but I'm not going to need it. It's going to end up being surplus. Because what I can do now is, with an anvil, this is a vanilla mechanic, I can make that into a Sharpness 5 book. And now, when I get another 40 levels, I can copy that up, and I can have Sharpness 5 on my sword instead. So there we go. That is Redstone Flux. So these will all be ready and upgrade and enchanted for the world download. For the world download, my gear will all be in this ender chest. So I'll chuck all my gear and my armor and everything. It'll all be in there. So if you do download the world, then you will load in over there somewhere. I think spawn was somewhere around there. So you'll be definitely be within visual range of the tower. You have to come to the tower, up the elevator, and then all my gear will just be in there. And you'll probably want to set your spawn. So as always, thank you very much for watching. We've got pretty much all the basics of thermal expansion covered. We've got Redstone Arsenal covered, and I'll also put in a book what I'm expecting to do next episode if you was curious. But for now, I'm going to say thank you as always for watching. I hope it was entertaining and educational, and I hope to see you next time. Cheers. Bye.